Whoever trusts in his own heart is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered. Proverbs 28:26. My guest in this episode of Passing the Torch is a founder of Elite Sentinel Coaching, where he forges leaders and builds legacies. He also leverages his expertise in leadership through over a decade of military experience, corporate experience, and skills like emotional intelligence and conflict resolution developed through over a decade of therapy and healing. My guest is also the founder and co-host of the Present Fathers podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome lover of white monster drinks, Oregon Duck, husband, father, veteran, passing the torch with George Hayworth starts now. First and foremost, welcome to the show. And thanks for joining me.
It's good to be here, man. Ironically, I'm actually not a huge fan of the white monsters. I like the OG green, and now that they released the sugar-free OG green one, that's kind of my go-to. But just thought I'd correct the record there.
Yeah, my mistakes.
No, it's all good. I posted a meme recently about like a road trip and cracking a white monster with the boys. So
maybe that's what it was, because I
gave
took
off the wrong signal. It's my own fault.
Yeah, it's all your fault, George. No, because I do research for all my guests and everything, and it's something I enjoy doing. And I follow a lot of people on social media, and I'll just take mental notes, or I'll save bookmark something on social media, like random things. And I do remember that's something that I bookmark, and I always like to kind of throw those little gems in there.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I mean, everyone who's been in the military or like law enforcement, I'm assuming all EMS, there's some coping mechanism with some kind of caffeinated beverage of some sort, right? So that's it's pretty standard data.
Like the whole stolen valor thing it's been trending for years,
right?
And for me, I feel like one of the things that you can do to tell if someone's stolen valor or not, I feel like if you can't see like the years of Monster and Rockstar and Red Bull in their eyes, you can see it, man. Like if they never worked a 12-hour shift at midnight, and their dinner consisted of 2 Monsters and like a tornado from 7-Eleven or something like that, or a churro,
pack of cigarettes or something.
Yeah, like that's how you can see it in their eyes.
Absolutely, it's definitely a type. But
yeah, we'll get into some questions. But you graduated from Oregon, is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, the University of Oregon, go Ducks.
Yeah, how many did you go to? A lot of their football games?
I tried. So like that's kind of a funny thing, right? You think, oh, you go to Oregon, you're a student, you must be able to get to all the games. Well. So I got there in 2007, in the fall of 2007 as a freshman. And that was like when the team really started getting good.
Yeah, exactly.
So it became really impossible to get tickets. Yeah. And they did like a lottery system, right? So it's like you had to, you put your name in the hat basically on this like online sign up thing. And it was just sheer luck if you got a ticket. So I only actually got to go to like maybe 5 games as a student.
Wow.
But I got to go to just as many or more as ROTC, right? We would do the color guard for the game. So that was kind of cool because they would kind of let us hang around afterwards. But yeah, good time to be there as a student. I grew up watching the Ducks, and we were lucky if we won 6 games a year, So as a kid, my grandfather would just sneak me into the stadium for free. That's how empty the stadium usually was. So
yeah,
it was cool, right? It was a good time to be there. But yeah, it was fun.
No, that's cool. Like I remember that when I saw the years that you attended, I'm like, that's exactly the time frame when they really started turning it around and everything. And
yeah, it was the Chip Kelly. My freshman year, Mike Bellotti was still the coach, and then it was the Chip Kelly era. And I mean, pretty good couple years to be a student at Oregon. Hard to complain about how the team was doing then.
Yeah. One question I'd like to open up every podcast with is, why is life great right now?
Life is great right now for me personally, just because my walk with God has gotten a lot more serious over the last couple of years. And I'm just in a season where a lot of the distractions and things that used to either make me angry or anxious or things like that, I've really just released. And I know that's not maybe for everyone, but I'm just going to speak honestly about my experience and who I am. And for me, my trust in Christ has just drastically changed a lot in my life. And there's a lot of things that are hard right now. It's a tough season I'm in right now. There's a lot of things I'm carrying, but my peace about it all is maybe greater than it's ever been. And that may not make sense to a lot of people, but for me, God's hand through things right now is just really making life great. And I'm just savoring every moment along the way. And I definitely am not that guy naturally. So that's a testament to what real faith can do.
Yeah. No, my friend Scott McGregor, Gregor always says that every day is treat every day like a special occasion, because we never know. And that's so every night. So I believe in God as well. And every day, every night when I go to bed, I always thank God, like, thank you for today. Thank you for the
Mhm.
special occasion. And then when I wake up, I also thank him for breathing, for life, because that's so precious. I'm with you there. And I just retired last year. So I just, um, yeah, just more time to process and think about things. And
Right.
it's like, man, like I made it this far, not by my own accord, through the help and guidance of those above me, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
uh,
that, for those maybe who aren't religious, just starting up and just being grateful for a new day is a absolute, like, one of the best things you can do for yourself.
yeah,
When you make gratitude a conscious decision, it's amazing how much better your perspective and your day to day gets. Even if you're in a really tough season of life, just being grateful that you have air in your lungs that morning really conditions your heart and your mind to kind of walk into the day kind of on offense, right? You're not waiting for life
yeah.
to happen to you. You're kind of taking the first step. You're seizing the initiative, and mentally, that just prepares you for whatever's coming your way to be in a lot better kind of state of mind.
No, yeah, that's a great point. And I've heard you talk about this. I do follow your content and see some of the posts, and you've been on a lot of big time podcasts. So first, I forgot to tell you, thanks for being on my podcast,
Yeah,
because
no, this is awesome. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I saw that you were on Zuby's podcast. And I was like, who
Yeah.
is this guy? And man, there were so many others that you've been on. I'm like, my goodness. So it's pretty cool. And then I watched you have your video that you had sent me in the email, and so it was pretty cool, man, how this is all coming together. I was definitely more excited to talk to you than I was for Nick. I'm joking, Nick, if you're seeing this, but yeah.
I'll make sure I tell him.
Yeah. So I want to kind of go back. I know it might seem like I'm jumping around a little bit,
No,
but
it's all
there's
good,
just,
man.
yeah, and I've consumed a lot of your like content, just your actual podcast.
Mm.
And then,
Well, thank you.
yeah, good stuff, man. And then I know you have your own was Denny on your podcast, the present
Yeah,
father?
yeah, we had Denny on a couple years ago now.
Yeah. So I went back and I listened to that one.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe how I learned about you. And anyway, so just been a fan ever since. But again, I've listened to on like a ton of podcasts, and seen some of your social media content. But I want to go back to maybe taking it back when you were 12 to 13 years old.
Mm.
And this is something I was thinking about, and I don't think you've talked about in a podcast, but if I was sitting 2 seats down from you in 7th grade, what would I see?
Mm. Yeah, well, one, I was tiny. I was like, not even 5 feet tall, not even 100 pounds. But you would have seen a little blonde kid with spiked hair. That was the thing back then. So I'm really dating myself right now. Like people were all obsessed with NSYNC and stuff back then. But yeah. So tiny, really loud, obviously insecure. I was trying to project an image and be cool and all that kind of thing, right? And teenage years are tough for everybody because you're just trying to figure out who you even are and kind of where you fit in and all that kind of stuff. But that was also kind of when tension at home, I started to pick up on it a lot more. So there's probably a lot of things just fueling the kind of the cycle, so to speak. And I always had to be right. I had to try and win all the time. And, it was just this unhealthy kind of level of, needing to prove myself everywhere I went, I guess would be the most succinct way to say that. But yeah, I mean, I made a lot of enemies, just because I was hard to be around. And yeah, that's probably what you would have picked up on pretty quickly.
What would you go back and tell yourself in that moment? Because I like to do this exercise where I think, man, if I could go back to that time. But yeah, so when you were cocky, and most of us were at that time, right? But just everything that you've experienced now and that what would you have told yourself back then?
The question is, would I have listened?
That's a great one too.
Yeah. So, if I could grab a hold of myself and force feed it down and actually have it stick, I think I would really just try to convince my younger self that hey man, just let it go. It's okay. Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually matter. Few things in life really matter that much. I think that's the trap we all fall into, is we treat everything like it's so serious and it's so life and death. And most things they may suck in the moment, but it's honestly very, very temporary. It just doesn't feel like it. And, I was so driven by everything has to be a certain way and it has to be just. And, well, that's not the rule. And right. I was just very locked in, overly intense about stuff. And if I would have just let a lot of things go, I probably would have enjoyed life a lot more. But I probably would have had better relationships with just friends and things, because I wouldn't have constantly been like on edge. That'd probably be the number one thing, 12 to 13-year-old George needed to hear.
Were there like any early family dynamics that impacted your attitude in the way that you carried responsibility, leadership, and relationships later in life?
Yeah, I mean, my growing up was pretty intense in the house. We obviously, when you're an adult, you can kind of go back and reflect on it and pick
Yeah.
it apart to understand, what was what. But as a kid, you kind of don't really know what's going on. It's just normal to you, right? But we definitely walked on eggshells with both parents, right, mom and dad. There was I'm the oldest. I was like the firstborn grandchild on both sides of the family too. So just inherently, there's a lot of like pressure, I guess, to kind of be the
Yeah.
golden child, not just from my own parents, but just from like the whole family. And a lot of it was unintentional. It's not like they were like sitting me down and having conversations like that. But the need to be right all the time was definitely the habit at home, right?
Mhm.
Anything out of line was like immediately met with swift discipline, punishment. There's a difference between discipline and punishment. We can maybe
Yeah.
talk about that, but yeah. So kind of always had my armor on, right? And it makes you driven. You get a lot of results academically, sports, all that kind of stuff. But deep down, that's not healthy. That is not a good place to be in. And that's where you see a lot of young men get to in their kind of early to mid 20s is they've been playing that game for a long time. And, maybe they're a star athlete or maybe they did really well at school and they got the scholarship to go to the great university or whatever. And
Yeah.
then they like get out into the real world and they just like fall to pieces. And that's because deep down, you've kind of just been running from yourself, really. And that was definitely me. So those dynamics were present at home. A lot of yelling, a lot of like arguments would get real intense really fast, and so there was a lot of codependency that was developed. And oh, don't make mom mad, or don't make dad mad, and that's I know a lot of guys who've been through a lot worse, but when that's your norm, it's very hard outside of that environment then to kind of be someone that people want to hang out with or get to know better, because it's just intense. No one wants to be
Yeah.
around that all the time. So yeah, that definitely was a learned kind of survival skill.
No, like, I mean, you talked about relationships and just reflection, man. Because and I'm 44 now, and I'll be, my parents got divorced when I was 5, and when my dad died when I was 11. So I think about this a
Mhm.
lot, and I think about the things I had to cope with and
Yeah.
growing up, and how that's impacted me now, and how I talk to my kids. But yeah, there's a couple of things I picked up on when you were speaking. And you're the oldest of 3, is that correct? If I'm not
Yeah. So
mistaken.
it's me and then my younger brother and younger sister. I have some older step siblings,
Yeah.
but they came into the picture when I was 17, right? So, I was basically done being a kid when the families merged. So, yeah.
Yeah. But was there a childhood coping as you reflect back, was there a childhood coping method you unknowingly developed only to realize that later that it wasn't normal?
Yeah, so the most succinct way I can kind of describe it is just that whether it's through conversation or, like a look someone gives you, right? Any perceived threat, my defense mechanism became to try and squash that threat. Is right. I get big real quick, like
Yeah.
emotionally. I don't mean like physically, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and crush your argument or your attack on me as fast as possible to neutralize the threat, basically. And so with the fight or flight, limbic system response, George was fight about 99% of the time. And so as you can imagine, that no one wants to be around a person like
Yeah.
that. And
It
so
gets old, right? Yeah.
yeah, well, and it wears you out too as the one, so I quote would win, right? But at what cost? And yeah, I mean that was absolutely the number one coping mechanism I had. And that has carried through into my adulthood, through my time in the active duty and even my marriage. And that's something I've had to work very hard on now in my late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, right? I'm
Yeah.
37 as of this recording, creeping up on 38. So yeah, that's been hard to unpack that one and let that one go.
Yeah, I mean, how important is emotional regulation? Because I know you've talked about that pretty extensively in a lot of
Yeah.
podcasts, and even I saw a video where you talked about Christmas. I'm guessing 2023 or 2024.
Hmm.
You were just talking about like an argument you got into and everything, but the importance of emotional regulation, because that's something I struggle with. I've gotten better, but I know I'm struggling with. But um, yeah, yeah. How much do you think about how important is the topic and subject of emotional regulation? Yeah, and what do you think we should be doing to further, I guess, spread awareness, not spread awareness about it?
To like make it actionable, to be able to actually
Yeah,
apply it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think I like from a head knowledge point of view, like understood that it's important. Oh yeah, you need that. It's the hardest distance to travel is the 12 inches from your brain to your heart, and yeah, that was me with emotional regulation. Like logically I understood that, yeah, that, because you'll make better decisions and you'll be, more approachable and all that kind of stuff. And I think I got relatively okay at it in my like professional career,
yeah,
but then basically just like didn't realize how important it is I do that outside of work, especially in marriage and as a father. And um it was Nick Lavery actually who he had no idea, right? He didn't know me that well. We had just met to do my podcast and all that kind of stuff. He has no idea my story or what I struggle with or that kind of stuff. And he's just kind of talking about principles that he believes in and how to apply them. And he was talking about emotion regulation. And
yeah,
I'm sitting across from him, in the studio, tried to not implode on the spot because every word he's saying is just like cutting me straight to the core, finally hitting my heart of like, hey, idiot, you need to pay attention to this. That like he doesn't know it's for you, but this is for you, right? And so that really woke me up because it was literally 2 weeks prior to that conversation was that argument you just referenced.
yeah,
And so yeah, I was kind of like melting in front of him, right, trying to hold it together and not like right. But that really made it real for me. So how do we make that applicable? How do we take that and actually start living with emotional regulation in our day to day? One, I do think as a man, the more that I've grown in this, the more I like just see it play out and understand it. I legitimately think one of the top three things you have to be as a man is emotionally regulated, and we don't understand what that truly means. So if I could just quickly define kind of what I mean by that, and then
go
let's
for it.
go through how to apply it. It's tied to stoicism, right? You've heard a lot of these words, and where a lot of men get this wrong is we think that stoicism or kind of being emotionally regulated means suppressing. Oh, I'm gonna lock them in the box and just hold it together, be stone faced and be stern and kind of be tough, right? Man up. That is not stoicism. That is not emotional regulation. That's actually avoidance, right? So it's in a way it's actually a form of cowardice. And I'm using very cutting language because like I had to do this with myself to really confront the problem so they can actually do something about it. And when I realized that my patterns of behavior, especially in my marriage, were just shattering all trust and safety emotionally, well, then that's it, man. Like if that's not there, you're not going to have a marriage. It doesn't matter what else you do. It doesn't matter how much money you make or how attractive you are and that kind of stuff. None of that will matter if it's emotionally unsafe. So stoicism is having the feeling they're going to happen. You're a human being. That is an uncontrollable response to any situation, anger, fear, happiness, sadness, whatever it is. Those emotions are just a response. Stoicism is gripping with them, understanding what they are, and then not letting that initial reaction speak for you and instead choosing what you're going to do. That is insanely hard to do. It sounds really simple. It's not easy to apply it. Someone does something and it ramps you up to 11 and you're seeing red.
Yeah,
It's really hard to walk off that ledge, right? So now that we defined it, what did I actually do? Well, one was to take ownership of that. Like in that moment, I knew I took every word that Nick was saying unintentionally to me that, oof, hey, bro, you need to really start working on this. So every morning I woke up and, I'm a huge fan of kind of having a little bit of like a personal creed to, start with gratitude, but then kind of define for yourself, who am I going to be? Who am I working towards? And so what I just really put down was several sentences about, I'm not going to lose my anger. I understand that my actions have huge consequences in my marriage and as a father, right? I just had a lot of statements like that. So I was focusing my mind and heart on these things need to be in the forefront of your mind because it's a weakness of yours. And so if you're paying attention to it, you're going to notice it more and start to correct the behavior. So that's like, it's kind of like, if you say, hey, count how many red cars you see, you're going to start seeing red cars everywhere.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of idea. You want to do that with yourself, game the system a little bit, have your mind work for you, not against you. And then it's really thinking about like, why is this the problem for me? And this isn't to be a pity party, like, oh, I'm so hurt and like victimhood, but instead of like, I need to diagnose why. I'm so short fused, or why I avoid conflict, or whatever the thing may be for you. Try and unpack, why did I get this way? Because when you start to understand that, you'll now have more clear understanding of what to actually do in the moment. And so part of that was, I just had to like lay that out for my wife. Hey, look, honey, I grew up in a way that was, it's kind of, it's like shameful to have to like talk about this with you in a way, right? I'm kind of like embarrassed, but you know, my temper's really short and I don't want to be that way. So can you just try and help me grow in this too? With, like, in the moment, I'm going to do my best to calm down and disengage, but can you also be helpful with me and just give me some grace and stuff like that, you know? So there's not like some cheat sheet I can give you of, oh, do these 4 things and then it'll fix your life. Cause everyone's story is very different and your struggles are going to be very nuanced to your life. But in general, those 2 things I just listed of like, pay attention to what it is, kind of targeting your mind on it, and hey, I'm going to focus on these things to improve my performance in that. And then the other one is unpack like why, because when you do those 2 things, it just starts to become very clear to you and you'll kind of stumble into better results. And then that will become your new habit. And the final thing I'll say here, and I'm trying to be as succinct as possible, is you're going to relapse, right? Whatever the thing is, you've had a habit for, you know, me, it was 30 plus years of being that way. I'm not going to snap my fingers and overnight just become, you know, awesome George 2.0. No, it's a process. You're chiseling away and scraping off rust here and there. And eventually it'll be this nice masterpiece, but you're far from that. So kind of go into that with the mindset of like, hey, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I'm going to commit to the hard work, right? Emotionally have that intestinal fortitude to confront yourself and become the man you needed to be, or gal, whoever's listening to this, for your family, for yourself, for your career, for everyone, right? And so that was the hard to swallow pill. The final thing I'll say here was I recognized that my anger was actually the highest probability that my family would get hurt was me losing my temper. I was the biggest threat in their life. And that really hurt to admit, because that's not what I want. No one wants that. But it was humbling, and that kind of made it real for me in the heart that like, hey, bro, you got to get to work on this.
Yeah, you're talking about like as a man, a husband, father, like it's natural where we want to protect our loved ones.
Yeah.
You know, and you talked about the biggest risk, and that's what you referenced in that video too. Like stat wise, it's a higher risk versus like getting mugged out in the street,
right?
Which I thought, and I think it's not a simple short answer like you stated, but it's a great one because it's raw and it's actionable and it's just it's truth, right? And it's not like some catchphrase or some acronym that has like a cool buzzword or whatever. It's just, hey man, it's just like a weight training program. You want to be able to bench 225, where here's
100%.
a you know, a 16-week program that's going to help you get there, right? So
yeah. And
as you're going,
final like little quick quip on that too is, you know, especially for the men listening, especially guys who have military backgrounds or right, kind of more macho kind of alpha male type of careers listening to this, it's very easy for us to overvalue the physical traits that we bring to the table, right? Huge fan of physical fitness. I think men should hone their bodies. I think you should be a good example on that front. But even if you're not, and you have outstanding emotional regulation, you're probably a pretty good man to be around. You probably create great results wherever you are. So if you had to pick one thing to actually start focusing on, emotional regulation is going to produce far more results professionally, personally, relationally than your fitness will. Now, I would argue do both, but if you're really weak and like I was with kind of controlling your temper and things like that, that is priority number one. And until you get that in check, nothing else is going to be worth the effort, right? The highest return on investment you can get, the most manly, tough thing you can do is to get really emotionally intelligent, have great control over those emotions, and become the guy that is like the pillar, right? Wherever you are, you're kind of the one that people flock to for safety, as opposed to you're the ticking time bomb. So think about that. And if the boot fits, wear it.
George, that's really good, man. So I'm taking a note for myself to clip that later.
Tried to make that succinct so it would work.
I mean, I feel, no, I mean, like I'm just letting you cook, right? I mean, it's this whole point where I just want to, I'm constantly trying to work on, I treat this as a craft where I'm working, evolving every day on how can I be a better podcaster, interviewer, host, and just letting people, I mean, that's the whole point, just kind of letting people talk. And I could tell you, you know, before we started recording, you're asking about specific topics or questions. And I'm like, we'll just kind of see where it goes. Emotional regulation was not something I had in my notes, but I knew in my head. And you talked about it. I was like, I'm going to ask him about that, right? So no, that's a great segment. I did want to follow up to that. Was there anything as you're going through all this? Because I know for me, the toughest conversations I have are often with myself, and I've gotten so much better with it.
Mm.
But did you, at any point in your life, did you realize that the voice, especially as you're going through this process, this regulation, and I like the term regulation, but did you realize the voice telling you that you weren't enough? Was there any point that you realized the voice telling you weren't enough didn't actually belong to you?
Mm. Yeah. Just a couple years ago, that was a huge reason I was the way I was too, was that insecurity and kind of need to prove myself everywhere I went was from that kind of internal narrative of you're not enough or you're not good enough,
Yeah.
or if they only knew the real you, they would reject you, or they would
Yeah.
make fun of you or whatever, right? Very, very negative thought loop to be in. Very, very problematic internal monologue to have, and I think a lot of guys can relate to that. You're always questioning yourself if you're good enough, or if you did enough, or if you're providing well enough, if your wife loves you enough, right? We're kind of, the modern age has really done men a disservice to where we're kind of neurotic now. And if you go back and look, whether it's biblical examples or historical examples, the great men are the ones who aren't necessarily the most physically gifted or most intellectually talented or any of that kind of thing. They're just the ones who can kind of stay calm through the chaos. And most of us today, if we're really honest, are not very good at that, or haven't been at pretty critical moments in our life. So when I finally realized that voice wasn't useful, wasn't my own, isn't actually going to help anything, and I need to let that thing down, right? That's scared little George. That's not adult George who needs to be in the room right now. Was through a guy named David Waldy. I had him on my podcast, and afterwards I just like felt a connection. I was like, hey man, I think you get it. Can I like spend some time with you? And hired him as my own personal coach for a little bit. And he was the one that really helped me pull on that thread. Cause as I was in the very nascent stages of trying to build Elite Sentinel and launch this program to help others, I kept having all these really just excuses, right? But oh, well, I wasn't a ranger, or I wasn't special forces, or I wasn't this or that, right? Like, who's going to listen to me? Woe is me. It was very victimhood mentality. And he really poked me in the chest on that. And specifically, just to set the context perfectly here, I told him that, hey, I feel like God is calling me to really step out, leave my corporate career and build this thing and go all in on it, and I prayed about it. I thought about it a lot. I just really feel led to do this. And so then he used that basically back against us. Said, look, you're telling me that God is calling you to do this, and then somehow you're not what he needs to make that happen. Like, you need to be something else before he can do that. And I was like, oh, well, when you put it like that, yeah, guess I'm kind of just hiding behind my woe is me story. And a lot of that was, I'm not enough, right?
Yeah.
I'm not this or I'm not that. So how can I help someone? Or I'm not this or I'm not that. So how would anyone want to listen to me, take advice, whatever, right? Insert the thing. I think a lot of people can relate to that kind of if this, then that type of thought process. And what I realized in the moment was, it doesn't matter. Okay. No one actually cares if I've got a long tab on my arm or if I've done this or that. Like, it doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. What matters is, can I provide value to you right now? Who I was doesn't matter anymore. It's who can I be for you right now? Can I actually provide value in your life, in this conversation, tomorrow, so on and so forth. So if you're struggling with some of that, like, I'm not enough type of thinking, you are the only thing holding you back right now. I want to be very clear about that. You probably have some challenges in your life. It could be money. It could be access to this or that, right? Maybe you had a tough background. The number one thing probably holding you back right now is up here in your own head saying, I'm not enough. I need to do this, then insert whatever. It's just not how it works, guys, especially to the guys listening. With your family, you don't need to go to 7 retreats and then you'll be the perfect man and now your marriage will be better. Like, no, you can start right now today by changing how you think about yourself, how you're projecting yourself. And it's not an act. It's you talked about it just a second ago about wanting to be a better podcaster. It's constantly just soaking in, all right, how can I get 1% better here?
Exactly.
And over time, you're just stacking all these little pebbles. You'll have a mountain of growth to look at in just a year. Even, I think, I forget the exact number, but in the book Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about that.
I'm going to reference that later, by the way.
A 1% improvement, I think, every single day ends up being like, it's a huge margin by the end of the year. It doesn't seem like that would be possible, but that's how this stuff works. So, I'm very fortunate now to work with some incredible people like Nick Lavery and stuff. And in the moment, I was like, why would this awesome dude want to work with
Yeah.
me? Well, and it's because he saw what I was still kind of learning for myself was, hey, this guy can add value. And it doesn't matter if I can compete with Nick's military record versus my military record. That's like a loser mentality. None of that actually matters. It's where can we partner together? Where do we have strengths and weaknesses that overlap? And where can we make a difference in the lives of others? Like that's what actually matters in life. But we get so caught up in our list of achievements and, you know, what we can wear on our chest or paint on our walls or whatever. And all that stuff is honestly not that important. It really doesn't matter, because you could do all those things and then become a turd afterwards. Right. And like, if you're, oh yeah, I was the great guy, you know, like your Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, right? If coach would have put me in, we would have won state. Okay, cool, dude. Great. What are you doing for me now? Right. Like,
Yeah.
we should constantly be leaving that, what I was behind, and who am I becoming tomorrow, you know?
Shout out to Uncle Rico. He's my favorite quarterback of all time. Kurt Warner was on my podcast last year.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. I mean, George,
that's like, incredible.
And people ask me, well, how'd you get Kurt Warner? Well, I've been podcasting for over 12 years, but this specific podcast started in January of 2018. People ask me how to get Kurt Warner. Well, it took me 8 years of figuring things out. Right? Not that I tried to get him for 4 years, but I built the capacity to be prepared for the potential opportunity.
Yep.
But anyway, so when I did I did the intro for you, I didn't tell Kurt I was doing this. So I did the intro and I said my second favorite quarterback of all time, NFL Hall of Famer, Kurt Warner. So that started off like, he's like, whoa. Let me guess who's your favorite, Brady or, you know, or Drew Brees. And I do love Drew Brees as well. I think Drew Brees is great. And I was like, no, man. I said, Uncle Rico. And I mean, he was cracking up and it just it set the stage.
Yeah.
George, I love what you said about men being more neurotic, because I've never heard anyone say it like this, or maybe it didn't stick with me the way, kind of like how what Nick said stuck with you. You saying that stuck with me because you're right. And I think even if it's subliminal things that we're seeing and we don't realize the media that we're consuming.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something in the food that we're eating that's causing certain, like, and that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah, I mean, we can do like a series of podcasts and all the things I think that could be contributing to it. But yeah, you're right.
I want to actually real quick. I have thought about, because I'm guessing you live in the Nashville area.
Yeah, pretty close. Yep.
I mean, yeah, right. Like it's, you know, the metro. Because I'd love to go down there and just record in-person podcast. I'm actually going to reach out to Dennings. I want to record another podcast with him, but I want to do it in person next time. And I talked about it with Nick and stuff. So I think if you're interested, man, let me know. Just do like an in-person. Yeah. But you know, neurotic, because, and I get emails all the time about, hey, come to my retreat, which is great. I think it's great that there are those things and they do help. But I get asked all the time, we're invited to retreats, and it's like, well, here's a retreat, pay $20,000 and you can you can attend.
Yeah.
But and they do help. But I think, like, at what point do I need to, like, how many do I need to attend that? You know, I need to do like internal work. I say all that. Can you remember a moment when you almost talked yourself out of the very thing that changed your life?
Yeah. The most recent one was, I want to say 2022, something like that, give or take. The years are all blended together now.
I know.
But, you know, so 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere like that, I kind of knew, like, in my heart, I'd started this growth journey a lot, right? We were doing our podcast. We started to interview these pretty incredible people. And every time I was just taking a little nugget, like, ooh, that's where I need to grow. That's an improvement for me. I need to work on that. And just kind of that hunger, that desire to actually, like, really start doing the work to not just be checking boxes, but actually grow and improve. Came across a program that helps married men improve their marriage, and I kind of knew, like, in the moment, I think this is what I need, right? I wasn't taught a good model. I came from a broken home. My wife comes from a broken home. You know, I've got a lot of disadvantages when it comes to knowing what right looks like, and I probably just need to commit and go all in here, and that might be the thing that really gets me over the hump, so to speak. And I didn't want to do it because I was gonna have to, like, give up this and give up that and pay the money, and right. And it was all these things I started trying to talk myself out of, like, well, but if you do, you could probably just figure this out on your own. You know, you could just read these books, or I had those conversations in my head, right? And so I just like, no, you just need to go. Like I just felt in the moment, like I got to go all in on this. Just don't let any of these excuses get in front of it, and just go and let it happen. And yeah, I went all in on that program. It was a 12-week program. The guy who runs, his name is John Michael Clark. I can introduce you to. He's
Sure,
an
yeah.
awesome guy. And I needed it. Absolutely. A lot of it is like, I kind of head knew it, but it hadn't made the distance to my heart yet. But also some stuff I wasn't really aware of. We were trained wrong, most of us, on how to actually treat your wife and what a husband should be and a lot of that stuff. And that really accelerated the process. So, it made things actually kind of worse for a while because I started confronting all the stuff we'd maybe just piled some dirt over, right? We needed to go dig up that nasty thing and get rid of it for good. And so it made the next couple of years a little harder. But through that, we've actually really healed and grown from it. And so, that's definitely one of those moments where I did not want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did.
How much more time do you have? Because there's some other good things.
I'm good to go, man.
Perfect.
We
love
got
it.
time.
Love it. Love it. Because I'm really enjoying this. You've talked about divorce a couple times, or at least maybe not specifically, but obviously alluding to it. Why do you think children of divorce become broken adults?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, again, this is going to be kind of painted from my own personal beliefs from a religious point of view, right? So if you're maybe a little turned off to that, I'll try and break it down as kind of more just like matter of fact, right? Not religious point of view. So if you think about like the first authority structure that any child knows, it's a marriage, right? It's a mom and a dad together who love each other. And that's kind of the first power structure you ever submit to. And when you come out of the womb, like, you're genetically designed to want that and need it. And again, that's by design. So that's how you grow and learn and are trained properly to become an adult yourself. So that, like, on a subconscious kind of cellular level, a child craves and needs. They can't really articulate that, right? Maybe they can when they're a little bit older, but young kids, they don't know why they need mom and dad. They just do.
Yeah.
And if we try and pretend that that's not the case, I mean, we're just not going to be able to have a real conversation here. So talk to anyone from pretty much any background who's focused on how to become a better person. Like, family of origin is going to be one of the biggest things they focus on first. The reason is because that's the first real structure you're supposed to kind of grow and thrive under. And so that's why I'll argue very heavily that fighting for your marriage and prioritizing your marriage, even ahead of the kids, is actually one of the most loving things you can do for the kids. Because when that gets shattered, now everything in life has a question mark behind it. And the narrative that will play in a child's head, even through adulthood, is, well, can I really trust that? Is it really going to last? Is it really true? Is it really safe? And now you create all the anxiety and all the fear. And now they're walking into everything in life with that little asterisk behind it, asterisk there.
Yeah.
They're holding back a little. They're not willing to commit all the way. And that really sets you up for failure. Now, again, we all have the personal responsibility to whatever we've been through, wherever we come from. You have to own your life where you are and start taking action. And a lot of that is completely unfair. And I hear that and I acknowledge it and I empathize with it heavily. You have to take ownership of it at one point. But we also need to diagnose why, like I said earlier, so you can actually fix it, especially moving forward. If you come from an environment like that, it's your responsibility to make the buck stop with you and get it right for your generation and for the generations after you. But that's why it's so important, is because children want to feel that mom and dad love each other. They want to feel that mom and dad are above us. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but they want to be under the safety and protection and authority of mom and dad as our leaders. And then that's the transition right into adulthood, whether you're a young woman or a young man. That's kind of the rite of passage, is you now start your own version of this. But when that's shattered, it destroys everything we know about our world. And it just it's like the dam breaks, right? And then all the other things are allowed to come in finally. And if you have nothing much in life, but you've got two parents who love each other and treat you pretty well, you won the lottery. I mean, basically everything else is so far behind that. You're set up for success, because you'll have learned the skills and the tools and all the things to go figure it out on your own. It may not be perfect, far from it, but you'll be set up for emotional success far more than most people are. I mean, statistically, it's like half of the country now, right, comes from a broken home or some version of it, right? Step families and all that kind of stuff. So the odds are not in our favor anymore, right? And that's what we need to start fixing.
Do you know Adam Jones?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah, have you read his book, Weapons of Mass
I got
Deception?
it. I haven't read it yet.
It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so I won't say anything on about it, but it's good. But I met him a year ago, but he talked
Awesome.
about I was actually doing an internship and he was brought in as a speaker, a virtual speaker.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and I reached out and I was just so compelled. And then we met last year in Atlanta in person and just hit it off. But yeah, his book's really good. Man, there is one question I did want to ask you is what is the difference between healthy humility and destructive self-doubt?
Really good question. Yeah. So actual humility is, in my opinion, is you're probably pretty competent yourself, right? You could probably go figure out all the right answers, so to speak, but you're also conscious enough to pause and kind of ask the audience, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, if you were in my position, what do you think you would do, right? It's more of a poise. It's not a I'm less than energy. It's more of a, well, let me get the best solutions, not just my own solution, right? So it's more of a, it's really hard to kind of put it in. So much of our life is tacked up to like achievements, right? We live in this system of how much money you make, what were your grades, what have you done, right? All of that doesn't really have a place here. So it's more of a, I think I know the right answer, but hey, this guy's a pretty capable dude too, who's done a lot of things. Let me just pause and ask his input. I don't necessarily have to take it if it isn't helpful, but let me just pause and see. That would be more real humility in my opinion. And then kind of that self-doubt version of it would be like, you're telling yourself, oh, they're so much better than me. Let me just do whatever they say or something, right? It's more of this like, I'm less than first, and then that's why I want their help, as opposed to like, no, I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm confident in what I'm doing, but I also want to make sure I'm getting great counsel. It's just the way you approach the issue is just so much different. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
It's a tough one to define, but it's I guess it's that internal presence you're carrying into the conversation first really changes the outcome.
Dude, that's good. That's really good, man. That's another clippable moment. I have kind of probably like two more serious questions, and then we'll get into some more lighter stuff. But how did your time in Mexico impact your present day perspective?
You mean like when I was a teenager, like on
your mission trips? Yeah.
Yeah. That was my first kind of glimpse into like how hard life can be for people around the world. We went to Tijuana and we went to Mexicali, which are both pretty impoverished areas, outside of like the tourist locations. It's people live pretty rough there. I think I was like 16 the first time I went. It just struck me that these kids have literally nothing. Like their clothes have holes in them. They're dirty. Their soccer ball is just like so worn out. They're playing on a dirt patch that they call a field, and like the goalposts don't have a net on it and everything, playing soccer or football, depending on where you live, They were happy as can be. And that really struck me as this American who had, a lot in comparison to them. I was one of the richest people in the world compared to what they had.
Yeah.
And that just really struck me that they basically needed nothing. And it caused me to reflect on like, we got it pretty good. There's a lot that I probably shouldn't complain about because my problems are relatively small. And I just want to be clear, like, that's a dangerous game to play with yourself in terms of like, oh, well, their suffering has been bigger than mine, so that doesn't validate anything, right? I just need to push through it. Maybe a little. That's a dangerous game to play because it's just a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
But there is a healthy level of perspective of understanding that, hey, I've had it relatively good. It allows gratitude to have a place in your life. And from there, you can start on offense at solving problems as opposed to, again, that I'm not enough or I haven't hard. It's not a negative energy. It's very more like focused, positive direction. So yeah, that was that first glimpse into that. That was that first dose of perspective that certainly helped me a lot to recognize that, hey, be grateful for what you have. You need to work hard. Nothing's going to be given to you, right? It needs to be earned and worked for. And very valuable experience as a young teenage boy seeing that and have an appreciation for it.
No, that's really cool. And that's something I'm big into writing and journaling and
Mhm.
even goals that I go back and looked at, like for my podcast, for example, goals that I had 5 years ago. And I'm like, man, I'm beyond what I'd hoped and dreamt of 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's just a reminder, like, man, just be happy, take pride in the fact, and comparison's a thief of joy. Um,
Hmm.
it's always just a perspective's just it's a big word, a big mindset uh in my life that I feel like it keeps me humble.
Yeah.
But
And like the word of caution is if you are someone who has done a lot or has been through a lot, is to not like get arrogant about that. Oh, I'm so much better than you because of this, this, and this. It's really easy to do. Right?
yeah,
Like we've all probably done it. It's at some extent in our life.
yeah,
And that's where again the humility comes back into play. That's genuine humility of understanding I probably have more capacity than you or whatever. Maybe I am actually better than you at this thing. Can I bring myself down to your level and help you where you are? That's
yeah,
real humility. And if you are that type of person who's been through a lot or has accomplished a lot, or maybe both, and you can slow yourself down and allow that door to be opened, you can make a huge impact in a lot of people's lives because they initially look up to you with such reverence because of the things you've been through. So it's essentially it's affording you the opportunity to help others, but now you have a choice. Am I going to selfishly hoard that for myself, or am I going to actually be willing to help those who are actually interested in learning and growing from it? And if you have that experience, I think you have a responsibility to pay it forward. And again, that may not be fair, but that's what life's handed you. So what are you going to
yeah,
do with it, you know?
yeah. George, you have so many great answers on this. This is going to be fun
I
to
spent a
chop
lot
up.
of time thinking about these things, you
Yeah,
know? So
this is good,
as-
man. This is good.
I didn't just think these up overnight, right? This is
Yeah.
years in the making. So
I was drinking coffee this morning and I had to hit my, my 50th epiphany
yeah,
of
I
the
just
day.
actually I premeditated every answer to this podcast with my cup this morning.
It's
But
part of my stoicism.
yeah.
But yeah. I want to transition to some lighter topics and miscellaneous
Sure.
questions. There's no rhyme or reason, but one thing I like to do in most episodes is I call it the name game. So I'm just going to say a couple names. Just use one word or one sentence to describe or what comes to mind when you hear the name, and they're in no particular order.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is Denny Jamazo.
Just very authentic.
I want to give him a shout out. I saw a picture that you posted of you guys very recently. It's been within the past couple months. And you're bragging about him and how great of a friend he is in person.
Mhm.
He looks so jacked in that. I think I texted him.
Yeah,
I was
he's a
like,
pretty big dude.
I was like, your arms look huge, man.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
like an inch taller than him, but he's like 4 inches wider than me. So,
yeah,
you know, it's
yeah,
again, I'm not that build. So, no, yeah, he's a real one, right? He's that's what I mean by authentic is you know, he acknowledges he's not perfect. He's not trying to make excuses for
yeah,
anything. And, you know, he's the type of guy who's going to just work hard to
yeah,
grow a little bit at a time. And that's all any of us can really do, you know? And so that's
yeah,
why, you know, he doesn't have that. He's deployed once. He was a National Guardsman, right? There's a lot of things on paper that shouldn't make him impressive. And that's why I like having people like that in my life is it's just the reminder that it's not about the accolades or achievement. It's what you're going to do with it, whether you have it or not. And so he's one of those guys who's just out there grinding and good person to know, good person to follow and be around.
yeah. No, right on. And be the standard. Shout out to Be the Standard
Yeah,
podcast.
absolutely.
Next name on the list is John McCaskill.
So I don't know John that well. Was on his podcast. That's most of the exposure I have to him. But like we talked about, strikes me as someone with a lot of emotional regulation. Navy SEAL commander. He's done all
Yeah,
the hard things. On paper, it looks like the quintessential tough guy. Very emotionally regulated, very emotionally intelligent. I think there's a lot to learn from that.
yeah. So I met him in 2021 at a leadership retreat, and he was brought in to just do meditation essentially. And then I think August of that same year, he was on my podcast shortly after. But it's to see like what he is, him and
Mhm.
Will, like what that's grown into is really cool. But I love
Yeah.
the awareness and just they're able to articulate a lot of things that I think men, just not more than just men, but women too. But it's
Right.
yeah, good stuff. One more name for you, last and certainly not least, definitely the biggest in terms of size, but Reggie White.
Okay. Yeah. Huge Packers fan growing up. I haven't studied him too much. Reggie White.
I asked you that question because I was watching a clip of you. I don't even know how long ago it was, but you had a picture of him in the background. And I'm a
Yeah.
Bears fan, so I recognized
Okay. Yeah.
the jersey and all that ahead of time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah. I mean, I just faith, I guess would be the word, right?
yeah,
He actually would speak often at the church my grandfather went to. Again, you can look at everything he did on the field and how impressive all that is. And I mean, he was a very impressive player. I'm sure if he were still alive to this day, he'd be saying that like none of that's nearly as important as my faith was. So that's something I think that just sticks out about a character like that. And he was taken way too soon. He was not very old when he passed, which is pretty tragic, but
scary.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a reminder of like take every day as a gift.
If you get a chance, please like check out the Kurt Warner episode that I did, because he
I
talks
will.
about like there's a lot of good things I think you'll take away from that. So with Reggie White, here's a follow-up question to that. If in a perfect world, if you could host Reggie White on your podcast, what question or what would you want to talk about? Like, yeah, what question would you want to ask him? Because I'd say theme, but I feel like that'd be an easy answer for him. But
Well, I think I would ask something to the effect of like, what were some of the disciplines or kind of mental processes you made a habit to not let Reggie White, the football player, define Reggie White, the dad, the husband, the friend, right? Like what were some of the things you did to ensure that you didn't let it go to your own head? Because I think that's really, no matter where we are in life, we all need that skill. And yeah, so I would love to ask him that.
That's a great point too, because I remember it's been within the past 10 years, and I'm retired Air Force, but there was an E9 in the Air Force that was retiring. Someone with a ton of influence. They had posted on Facebook they were retiring, and we're talking people like the best leader ever. I mean, we're thousands and thousands of comments, and his wife and his son commented, "I'm glad he was a great leader for you, but he was not a good father and husband at home. He was never present." And that stuck with me. That really like just was etched into my heart and my brain. I was like, man. So I made it a point to like think about who I am outside of the uniform. And anyway, it'll tie into that Kurt Warner episode.
Yeah, that's great. Well, if I can I just add a little thing onto that?
Yeah, do it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're describing there is legacy. And that's the thing that I wish more men would pay a lot more attention to, is asking the hard question of like, what is my legacy really going to be? Because it's actually not about me. There's a quote, I think it's Peter Stropel said, legacy isn't something you leave for people, it's what you leave in people. And so with that example you just gave, right, this very decorated leader, senior enlisted man retiring, his own family was like, yeah, great. He wasn't there for us. Is that how you want to be remembered? And so that's the hard decision some of you will have to make, is you may have to let go of the shiny things you were chasing. It could be career, it could be money, it could be whatever. And really reflect, like, am I willing to give up the time with family or the impact I can make with my own family for this thing? And for some people, it might be the right call. Maybe your family is built that they can handle that, and maybe it isn't. And I think you need to constantly evaluate those things to make sure that your decision-making process isn't what you want for you, and instead is what is your purpose really when it comes to, if you have a family, you have an extra set of responsibilities that you volunteered for, and to forsake those things, that's on you, bro. And you'll have to live with that. And so that, for me, I've been willing to pass some things up because I wasn't willing to have my legacy be, yeah, he picked career over family. And I think a lot of guys were sold that lie, and it's broken a lot of homes and it's broken a lot of people over the years.
Yeah, man, that's definitely hitting home. That's one of the big reasons I retired, just because it was just, I was like, it's not, I want my family.
Yeah, good on you, man.
Yeah, and it was tough, man, because I did retire at 23 years, but there were some people telling me I should try to go further, and I'm like, I don't know, man. And I know someone else, same rank as me, that they constantly put career first, and they are now going through a divorce, and it's just, I don't want that, man. And plus, my wife's really pretty. I just don't think I can get that lucky twice, man. I hit the lottery with her. So, you talked about,
seems to be a trope with the Air Force guys, so
yeah,
props to you.
You talked about legacy. I actually just posted a clip this morning. So Scott Husing, he's a Marine veteran, and he wrote the book called Echo and Ramadi. Very good as well. But that my episode with him is actually coming out this Thursday. But he talks about, I posted a clip on Instagram. It's transferable legacy. So it's just a 2-minute clip. But it backs up everything that you just said, and it's a good one for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the famous quote. It's like you're planting the seeds of trees under which you'll never know the shade.
Oh yeah,
right. And then so like, what type of tree are you planting, man? Is it in some big machine for someone else's dream, or is it like the corporate grind, or is it actually investing in your family, your marriage, and your kids? And sometimes less money is the right answer. Sometimes less personal glory is the right answer, and you can still be a very growth-minded, aggressive individual, trying to operate at the highest level in whatever you do, and keep it in check with, I want my family to not have to pay the price for that.
Yeah, exactly. So I walk my son to the bus stop to and from every single day now, which I will not trade for anything. And I could talk about this for another hour.
Yeah, man.
But the focus is on you. I'm going to go back to James Clear, Atomic Habits. What's a habit you should break, but you secretly enjoy too much to give up?
That's hard. I mean, I kind of broke most of them along the way. Maybe just a little too much like digital time, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's a movie or like playing a little video game or something, right? I could probably break that a little bit further. It used to be pretty out of hand. It's pretty well in check now, but I guess there's times where it still maybe takes a little too much time. But yeah, just full transparency. That's probably the only one that's really kind of left at this point. There's not a whole lot. I broke most of the other things because they needed to go. So, yeah.
All right, just wrapping up the last couple of questions. If there was a giant billboard with your picture on it for the world to see, where would you want your billboard to be? And what would you want your message to say?
Wow, it's an interesting question. Where would I want it to be? That was tough. I think I'd want it to be somewhere, obviously, where a lot of people would see it. Not about myself, but I'd want that message to probably be around that legacy again. Is what you're building really worth it? Something like that. Just short enough that it'll fit on a billboard, but just to start having people actually think for themselves about, like, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? It's really easy to kind of get in the motions and you're just like checking the boxes. And especially if you're a man with a wife and kids, that's a really dangerous place to be in, because your job is to kind of be the one plotting the next. You should be thinking ahead, having that longer term vision. You shouldn't just be going through motions. And so if a picture of me on a billboard somewhere could like spark that little thing, just be like, maybe I should think about that. And that was enough to get someone to maybe start improving their life. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I don't really care about me. It would hopefully just help their life.
No, that's good. I love that's a good answer. That's good. So I've done, last November I published episode 100. I'm now at 120. Yes, and this will probably be episode 128, 129, one or the other. My goal is to have it out within the next 2 weeks. But since episode 100, and my wife was my guest, which for everyone that knows my wife, they know that was a huge leap of, that's just not her, right?
Yeah, I haven't got my wife on camera.
Yeah, but I wanted to celebrate the milestone episode, because especially with podcasting, like most people quit after 3 episodes. And then the next big jump is, and I know you know this because you're a podcaster, right? I think 7 episodes and 10 episodes and episode 21 are like the milestones where all the percentages keep dropping. So I was like, man, I want to celebrate. And I did kind of like a marketing thing, and I kept it a surprise. So it was fun, and no one expected her. And I posted something like, who do you think is gonna be my guest? And people were messaging me, all types of people. Someone even recommended, like, is Jay-Z gonna be on your podcast? And I'm like, I would have Jay-Z on my leadership podcast, but
that's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so she was my guest, episode 100, and I started a tradition in that episode where I want to start passing the torch between episode and guest. So what's a quote or a question I can use in a later episode with a guest to be determined?
Yeah, so I'll give you this one. You'll have to maybe hang on to it for the right kind of context. And it's specifically it can apply with just leadership in general, but really for the husbands, this one is your conviction has to be stronger than your wife's emotions. And just to expand that a little bit, your conviction about what's right for your family, making the right decision, has to outweigh your wife's emotions, right? Oftentimes guys they crumble in place because their wife's going to get upset about something. And so they end up not doing the right thing just to kind of like appease her. And that actually makes you both lose, right? So I'm not, to be clear, we need a whole other episode on this. I'm not saying go be a tyrant. That's not what I'm saying. But there are times and moments where you need to have real strong conviction about a thing. And even if she's going to be upset, it's the best thing for you in the long run. You need to make that call. Welcome to leadership. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, bro. You signed up for it when you got married.
I love that quote. That's a quote that I use often as well.
Your conviction has to be stronger than her emotion.
That's good. What can I do for you? How can I best serve you?
Well, I could just real quick talk about all the different things we got going on now.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
That'd be great just to do that. That'll be reward enough. So I founded Elite Sentinel. That's actually merging into Machine. So I work with Nick pretty much full time now. I wear a lot of hats. So on the Machine side, so machine.co is the website. I'm director of operations, so kind of helping build out everything we got going and to serve you, the customer, that much better. And then on Precision Components side, which is more business to business kind of speaking and consulting and things like that, I'm basically heading up the advisory services branch of the company, and we're building that out to work with companies and train leadership and coach and a lot of these things. So it's been a wild ride. And again, to just those who may have like I'm not enough or whatever, like you probably never heard of me, which is fine. Like that's okay. And I never would have imagined when I founded my little company that, a guy like Nick Lavery would be, hey, I want you to bring it over here and be a part of the team. And again, it's just like you were saying with the podcast, it's just put in the reps and just being ready for the moment. I didn't have any delusions of grandeur or anything like that. I was just really committed to growing and being better a little bit at a time. And here we are, right? It's a pretty incredible opportunity. So if you're a person who's really interested in kind of stepping up and get some real like guidance and actual strategies on how to grow and why, check out Machine. That's kind of the individual consumer brand, right? We're here for you as the person. Everything from your mindset, physical fitness, all that, right? We got it all taken care of. We even got like Machine Vitality does all your labs and things like that, which is
I saw that.
awesome.
I was checking out the website last night.
Our goal is to be the one-stop shop for you to optimize yourself, right? Whether it's you're an individual person, maybe you're not married, maybe you are, whatever it is, just growth of any kind, we're the one-stop shop for that. And then if you're a business owner or something like that, and you want to explore your company, how to grow revenue, how to have your teams work better together, all of that, give us a call over at Precision Components. But yeah, it's a wild ride. I can't believe I am where I am today. And again, it's not because I'm impressive or anything like that. It's just a lot of hard work and trusting the process and being willing to ask others for advice and counsel, right? Having that humility we spoke of earlier. Here we are. So love to work with you guys. And thanks for letting us kind of plug that.
Yeah, and I'm going to link the machine.co website along with your Instagram, your LinkedIn, the Present Fathers YouTube channel, and I think your
Very
Facebook
cool.
or something. Yeah, so I'll have all that stuff. George, thank you so much for being on my podcast, man. This is really an honor. I love the conversation, and I hope this is just the first of many conversations in the
I love that. Yeah,
potentially have in the future, man. So, but dude, this is awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the time, and let's go pass the torch. I love the name of it because that's really what our job is as men, is one day to pass it off, right? So beautiful. Love it.
Thanks.